may have been ill-advised. Now into the hands of Perkins. Perkins from way downtown. And bang!
Tyler Perkins going crazy as Adrian Grants calls the timeout. Perkins, perhaps, I'm not going to say the least heralded guy on this team, but a guy that many in here may not know a lot about, and he was proven to be perhaps the best player in this game tonight.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Alumni Talk. We've been gone for a few weeks, but we're back at it. Definitely follow the ABL. Good news, we have 5 games confirmed so far. Kansas State, Kansas on June 10th in Kansas City. We have West Virginia, Maryland confirmed July 25th in West Virginia. Georgia versus Georgia Tech, July 22nd in Atlanta. South Carolina versus Clemson in Columbia, South Carolina. And right now, we'll close the season out August 6th in Syracuse versus Georgetown. Follow us at ablballing.com. You can also follow us at ablballing on Instagram and at the ABL USA on Twitter. We're here today with the first team all met from the Washington, D.C. area, the Capital Classic, Capital Team MVP, Mr. Tyler Perkins. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Man, good to see you. So we're going to get right into it so we don't hold you up. Just talk about your start in basketball. So over the last week, you've blown up on social media. People are talking about your performance. Right. How did you get started in basketball? Where are you from? Where did you get your start?
Yeah, so I'm from Lorton, Virginia. I've been playing basketball since I was a kid. But growing up, football was probably my main sport, and basketball was just something I did for like on the side. And I would say probably all the way up until my freshman year of high school is when I started taking it seriously. So, I mean, I've been for the past 4 years. That's probably when I've really dedicated myself to this game. My freshman year, I didn't make varsity. I was on JV, so that was definitely a good motivation spark to start working out and start working hard with this game. And then I've just been at it for the past 4 years.
So I noticed you didn't mention AAU. So when did you start? Yeah. When did you start playing AAU?
Yeah, I started playing AAU my sophomore year with Virginia Elite. And then last year I was playing with Takeover National. So I've only been in AAU for 2 years. It's kind of crazy, but it's good. Yes, sir.
So being from Lorton, Virginia, and a lot of people from this area, DC area, is familiar with that area. How did you make a decision to attend Landon, which is in Rockville, which is the other side of the Beltway? What made you guys decide to make that decision?
Yeah, so I went to elementary school around my house. So my parents, they didn't think that I would be able to truly blossom into my true self and who I am now. If I stayed going to my local middle school and high school. And also my dad's a math teacher. And he knows some people at Landon, and he's actually teaching at Landon. He's been teaching there since I've been there. So we went in the same year. And that just helped with the commute and everything like that. So I mean, it just kind of fell into place, which was, I can't ask for anything better.
So you get there, your freshman year. Talk about just your time in high school. Starting out, you say you were on JV. I know one was a COVID year. How was your early basketball experience at Landon, and how did it prepare you for later on?
Yeah, it definitely made me realize that I have to really work if I want to be good. Because Landon, it doesn't have the best basketball reputation as some WCAC schools or other schools in the area. And I was behind some really good guards, as we were talking earlier, Keno Lilly and Cannon Reynolds. I mean, those are 2 great guards that went through that school. So just being behind them and seeing how they compete with each other, and just seeing how they get after it in games and how they compete, just really made me realize that I really had to lock in and really want to do this if I wanted to be good at it. And then my dad was also the coach while I was in lower school over there. So, just being over there with the practices before and after, staying after, watching them lift and just watching them watch film and all that stuff, just being around it really just helped me grow into who I am now.
So your 10th grade year comes and COVID hit. So what kept you active? What were you doing? What were you
Yeah,
doing during COVID that
yeah. COVID is definitely where I made my mark. I have a PS4. I didn't touch that at all. My dad and he built jump boxes, in the garage. It was like 12 feet, 20 feet, 24 feet. And I was on a jump program. I had this outdoor court that thankfully was open during that time. So I was going up there, and like other elementary schools around me. And I was just like, I probably went to the court, like no exaggeration, like 5 times a day. Um, just like I just fell in love with it. That's definitely where I made my mark.
so coming back into your junior year,
Mhm.
I know you felt like you had improved over a lot of guys. What was your junior year like?
Yeah, so we had another really good guard then, a senior at that time, Mike Gray. So he made varsity as a freshman, and I just soaked up a lot of information from him. I was asking him questions. He was really good IQ wise, making the right play. So just developing that. But that was my first year on varsity, so that was really just like a learning period, I would say. Kind of knowing like the atmosphere when we played our rivalry games, um, and just being like in that kind of like high level. Um, it was just really like a learning period. I just had to like just really experience what it was.
No, man. I mean, that's like when you. 'Cause my first year of varsity playing was 10th grade, and people don't
Yeah,
understand. You first go on varsity,
yeah,
it's a mental adjustment
it
because
is
now
for sure.
like sometimes it's the first time you have expectation behind when you play,
Right,
right? The
right.
JV kind of when you go on
Yeah,
varsity, especially being not as underclassmen,
right.
you're playing in front of
Yeah,
older guys. Oh,
exactly.
it's a different type of experience
Right.
that you got to be prepared for. So your summer going into your senior year, you played with
Mhm.
Takeover National.
Yes, sir.
What was that like?
That was good. That was when I really felt like I hit my stride, in front of like scouts and coaches. Um, Coach Chuck Henry, he was our coach.
That's my
Um,
guy.
yeah, he just drilled it in me like you have to always go hard, you have to work hard. Um, and he knew I would be something. So he always believed in me. Telling me like no matter what comes, just stay in the gym and just keep working out. And just the team that I had around me, they were all really good. So just playing with those kind of guys, and just it just elevated me and just made me like really adapt to it. So
So let's talk about your recruiting for a minute. So
yes,
you
sir.
started to get your offers during that summer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what schools were looking at you at that time?
Yeah. So at that time, it was mid majors like Patriot League, American East, Ivy, um, Sun Belt, like JMU.
Give me some names. What schools?
All right. So my first offer was from Albany, and then I got Loyola, Maryland, um, and then I got like Navy, um, and then like all the Patriots, BU, Lehigh, Colgate. Who else? Who else was there?
The whole Patriot League,
Yeah,
Bucknell.
yeah, but yeah.
The whole Patriot.
Um, and I had JMU, William and Mary, um, and then pretty much all the Ivies, Penn, Harvard, um, Dartmouth, and then yeah, and none of the high majors really reached out to me that much. But yeah, mostly that
So
mid.
what did you hear from any high majors? And you told me something through text that was interesting.
Yeah. Like
Talk about what high majors were saying about you.
yeah, they was the word on the street was that they liked my offense, but they didn't know if I could defend at that level. I guess I didn't show them enough defensive ability and defensive promise when they were watching me. But they thought my offense was good. But that definitely, like when I heard that, that definitely made me build, have a
So
bigger fire in me.
so let me ask you this then:
Mhm.
do you think it was because of your lack of defensive ability, or were they kind of holding the competition you played against you?
I feel like it was more competition because I wasn't on the EYBL circuit. I wasn't on UAA circuit, 3SSB. So I feel like that was a little bit. And then in the DMV Live, like I was playing with Landon and we weren't playing like the Paul the Six, the DeMatha. So I feel like that might have had a little bit. And because I wasn't like a complete dog on the defensive end with who I was playing against. Um, so I feel like that might have played a little bit of role, but I feel like if I definitely got a chance to play against like those top dogs in the area, um, I feel like it would change their mind. But
I mean, I agree. I mean,
yeah,
you know, showed a lot of ability. So talk about your decision to kind of lock in on Penn.
right. So I wanted to commit before the season. I heard like I was talking to people that I know that have committed, that had offers, and like some of them waited, some of them didn't, and like I was kind of getting the gist that if like you wait, it's gonna be like a cloud over your head during the season. Like you're just gonna keep thinking about it because you don't want to like lose any offers or whatever. So I just wanted to get it over with. And when I visited Penn, like right when I got there, right when went on the visit, it just felt like I'd been there before. It felt like home. Like you got that feeling. Um, and yeah, I didn't think that I would get any more offers soon. So I was just like, they rock with me, so I'm gonna rock with them.
I mean, I appreciate the loyalty, man, but
Yeah.
you're a high commodity right now. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. You know, your senior year, I was
Mhm.
looking up. You had a couple 40-point
I
games.
did. I had back-to-back 40s. It was 43 and then 47.
Who was that against?
It was the 43 was my senior night against St. Stephen's at home, and followed that up the next week against Episcopal with 47.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a real bucket getting right there. I'm a left-handed jump shooter myself, so I can appreciate the way you play. So you were first team all Met,
Yes,
and
sir.
what did that mean to you?
That was probably the other than the Capital Classic MVP. Um, Up to that point, that was probably the best accolade I got. That was definitely my top in my room. I have like all my goals written down on a piece of paper hanging up. So being able to write that off and check that off was definitely a great feeling.
People don't realize how hard that is due from the league you're in.
Yeah,
Um,
for
it's just
sure.
a lot of politics with that. So to be able to play well enough that you got that vote
Right.
um, speaks volumes to
Thank you.
how much you really accomplished. So now we're going to get to the Capital Classic real quick.
Yeah.
So I was under the wearing you never heard of the game before.
Yeah, I had never, when you first texted me, I thought it was, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was some like, like not too big of an all-star game. But then I sent the screenshot to my dad and my uncle. And me, they were like, what? They were losing their minds. It was like, you gotta play that. Everyone's played that. And that's when I started doing my research. And then when I saw like Kobe, MJ, Patrick Ewing, KD, Klay
LeBron.
Thompson,
Yeah.
LeBron, like I was like, oh my, like I actually get to play in this. So
Yeah. So, the Capital Classic started the McDonald's game.
yeah, I heard about that.
So
Yes,
that's
sir.
one thing that people don't realize. Without the Capital Classic, there is no McDonald's game.
Right,
Because at first it was the McDonald's Capital Classic.
right, right.
Then it became the McDonald's All American game. Two games ran together until the Jordan Brand game, and that's a whole other story. But
Yeah,
so you get to practice, and just
right,
for the audience to know, I mean, at practice alone, there were over 20 NBA scouts and
right.
multiple GMs, and I mean, agents and all
Yes,
of
sir.
that, media,
Yep,
and you were one of the better performers at practice. Now you get to the game,
right,
and you didn't start,
right,
um, but you're on the court with Mikey Williams, who's one of
right,
the more viral high school stars ever.
right.
Um, how was it to outplay him essentially in front
Um,
of your crowd?
yeah, I mean, during the game and leading up to it, he wasn't I mean, he kind of came across my mind a little bit. But it was more of like me, like I have to do what I have to do. I work out every day. I work out a lot, so I felt like I was prepared, and I have the confidence to go with it. So it was just, I'm gonna go out there do what I do. Um, I can't control what he does, so I'm just see how the chips fall, and then yeah,
So I was telling people, I've done a lot of research on the Capital Classic, and
Right.
it reminds me. So one of the more popular games you'll find besides the LeBron game, which wasn't actually a great game,
Okay.
it was kind of LeBron
Yeah.
out there. Chris Paul, maybe I did too.
Okay.
But in 1989 was really a monumental game for the Classic because Kenny Anderson at the time was the most talented recruit of all time in this country, probably besides Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can look it up. I mean, consider like can't miss, number one player in the country, the first player in New York to be All-State all 4 years. I mean, it was so. And then you had a guard from Coolidge High School who nobody outside of this area really knew, like Kurt Smith.
Right.
They match up, and Kurt gets MVP, and the Capital team wins. So it reminded me of that. And Kurt was actually there. We was talking about it, and it reminds me of that because like that, what games like that do, and you probably won't even realize this until you're older.
Right.
Is some little kids in there that watched you outplay a kid that they idolize, and it's going to make them want to go and really play. And that's something that that's going to mean a lot. Might not mean I do at 18, but at 38, when you're doing other things, you always be able to say, "Hey, man, I outplayed that kid, such and such." So one more thing for you before we go.
Yes, sir.
At Penn, who is considered the rival? Who is considered Penn's rival?
Princeton. Princeton's there. They knocked them off this year. Princeton knocked Penn off in the Ivy Madness. Princeton, I mean, you probably know their history. They've been winning. They go to the tournament. They used to go to the tournament all the time. They're kind of like the top dog that everybody in the Ivy League wants to knock off. And it's always a great game when they play. So definitely Princeton. I was at the Ivy League Madness game to go into the tournament when Princeton knocked off Penn. So I definitely got to get a good feel of them. I'm definitely ready for them. So.
Nah, man. And so one part of the Alumni League is we match up these schools versus each other. So we would definitely one day be looking for an Ivy League Penn versus Princeton alumni game. Hopefully you can be a part of that.
Yes,
I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for stopping through.
Thank you for having me.
So everybody checked it out. Remember, we're really rolling with ABL right now. Check out ablballing.com and ABL Ball on Instagram. This podcast will be on Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube. Thanks everybody for joining. Appreciate you, Tyler. See you guys next time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.